Hello and welcome to Tony's Math Hacks, the show in which I share my favorite tricks for doing fast arithmetic without a calculator. I'm your host Tony, and you're watching the channel Tony Talks About Math. On this episode of Tony's Math Hacks, we are talking about how to get decimal equivalents for fractions that have denominators such as 11 and numbers related to 11 such as 22, 44, 55, 110, etc. So first thing, we want to talk about just ordinary elevenths. How do those work? So 1/11 is 0.09 with the 09 repeating. There's a nice symmetry between this and 1/9, which is 0.11 with the 11 repeating. We usually just write it as 0.1 repeating, but that's the same thing. Anyway, once we have 1/11, we can talk about other numbers of elevenths. So 2 over 11 is the same as 0.18 with the 1/8 repeating. We just double 9 and we get 18. And if you know your multiples of 9, then you know all of your elevenths. For example, 6/11 is just 0. Now what's 6 times 9? It's 54. So 54 repeating. And this works all the way up to 11/11, which is 0. What's 11 times 9? It's 99. And so we have 99 repeating. If you're not sure that 0.99 repeating is the same thing as 1, please check out my video on that topic. Anyway, let's look at a fraction with a more complicated 11y denominator. Suppose we want to know about 14/55. And just to throw in a little change here, let's say we want to know what percent is 14 out of 55. So we'll turn this into a percentage. Now 14/55 is the same as 14 over 5 times 11, because 55 is 5 times 11. Now since 5 goes into 10, we can turn it into a 10 by multiplying by 2, and we just need to multiply by 2 on top as well. Then we have 1/10, that's the 5 and the 2 from the bottom, times 28, that's the 2 times 14, over 11. Now the 1/10 is going to be easy to deal with, so we'll save that for the end. And let's think about 28/11. 11 goes into 28 2 times, with 6 left over. And so we have 2 and 6/11, and we've already seen 6/11 is the same as 0.54 repeating. Multiplying by 1/10 is just a matter of moving the decimal, and so we have 0.254, and the 54 is repeating. Let me just write that out with a couple more decimal places. And let's turn this into a percentage. To turn it into a percent, we're going to move the decimal place over 2 times, and so we end up with 25 point. Well, we've moved the decimal over twice, and now to the right of the dot, we have 4545, and so that's 45 repeating percent. Or we could say 25% and 5/11ths of a percent. Now you might notice this is really close to 25%, which is a fourth. That's not surprising because 14/56 actually equals 1/4, because 14 times 4 is 56. Now a 55th is a little bit bigger than a 56th, so 14/55 is a little bit bigger than 14/56. How much bigger is a 55th than a 56th? Well, it's bigger in precisely the ratio 56 over 55. So, another way of thinking about this is that 14/55 is simply 1/4 times the correction factor, 56 over 55. If you simplify this, it's going to turn into exactly the same thing that we had here. So, however you get there, 14/55 is the same as 25.45454545, etc. percent. And that is a nice calculation involving a fraction whose denominator is 11 times 5 in this case. Let me show you one more thing before we wrap up. We've seen that we can deal with denominators that are 11 times anything involving 2 or 5. However, we can also handle 11 times 3. Let me show you how that works. If 1/11th is 0.09 repeating, since 0.9, just that pair of digits, 0.9, is a multiple of 3, then 1/33, which is 1/3 of 1/11th, must be 1/3 of that, which is 0.03 repeating. Once we have this, we can deal with any number of 33rds. For example, 7/33 must be 0.21, with the 21 repeating. 17/33 must be 0.51, with the 51 repeating, and so on. We can, in a similar way, handle 99ths, by the way. 1/99th is simply 0.01, with the 0.1 repeating, and by taking multiples of that, you can get any number of 99ths, and you can see that anything with 2 digits repeating is simply something over 99. Anyway, that's all for this episode of Tony's Math Hacks. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click link and subscribe, and please consider supporting Tony Talks About Math on Patreon. Link is in the description. Anyway, I'll see you next time on Tony's Math Hacks.